going to introduce Marcus Vandermark, who's going to introduce Luis Gil.
All right. So Luis immigrated to the United States from Venezuela, similar to Patricia at a young age, as a young boy, and has done what a true immigrant does, and that's really to try to add something to his gratitude for moving to America. And so he got involved in politics, and we live in Columbus, Ohio, Luis and myself, and we met through the settlement project. Actually, I met him out at the Dublin Franklin County Republican Party gathering during the first Trump election. Luis was running for county commissioner at that time. Didn't win the county commissioner position. Is very active in the Franklin County election headquarters. I think he's a #1 campaigner. He stands in front of the election headquarters and campaigns for candidates as they're coming in to vote. And last year he ran for city council, Columbus City Council, which is, if you know anything about Columbus, Ohio, it's a complete Democrat from top to bottom. The mayor and every single city council member is a Democrat. He ran for city council, didn't win. It's really tough for Republicans to break through in city council. He's also an interpreter for domestic and legal immigration hearings here in Columbus. So he's got his finger on the pulse here locally, because anytime a Venezuelan national gets picked up for a speeding ticket or whatever, he gets phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he's down there interpreting for individuals. And so he's right on the front line. He's a great public servant, and he was recently this year invited by the President of the United States, Donald Trump, to go to the White House. And he flew over with the governor for the state of Ohio, Bernie Moreno, and all the officials here in the state of Ohio, and met the President of the United States. And I heard he just had an invitation to the George Washington Ball down in Miami, Florida. Very shortly, he just showed us his invitation. So Luis is a great friend of mine, good brother, and a true patriot. And I'd like to introduce Luis at this time.
Thank you very much, and nice meeting you, everybody. And Patricia, nice meeting you. And so glad that you involved in making a difference in this great country that we all, since we were little, we were told in school, how great the United States was, and I mean, and that was part of the history, part of the school. Every year, it was about the United States and how the United States has saved the world 2 different times, World War I, World War II, and that was part of our respect for this country. Granted you that in Venezuela, once you were in elementary school and a secondary school, everything was easy until you got to university, and that's when you got some introduction into leftists, communists, socialists, and unfortunately, you have to have that background from home, from mom and dad, to guide you that that's not the right way. So anyway, just to give you that a little bit of, seed that was planting, in Patricia perhaps, and me, myself, that the United States was the savior of the world. And we were so grateful coming with that early age. My mom died when I was 16 years old. Her dream was for me to come to the United States someday. And granted that dream, she had to sacrifice my opinion. That will be part of my book, if I ever write it, will be the warmth of grace, because I have felt through my life that not only my mom was here until early age, but also she went to God to tell God herself that take care of my kids. And by that, me, creating a path, I brought in my brothers and sisters, each one of us separately. And we would not, just to give you a little bit of background, we did not, remember Venezuela, Christmas and New Year's is a big deal. So for us not to be together for 7 years, Christmas of New Year, it was a big deal. And we celebrated here together for after 7 years being separated. And many years ago, and during democracy, mind you, in Venezuela. And we all here now with, so if I was the first one to arrive to the United States, now we are 43. We got kids. I have 5 kids. I have 7 grandkids. So we multiply that good old Venezuelans. So through that, 90% of my families are grateful for this country. We are conservative. We are Republicans. Now, couldn't be perfect, but, that's okay. That keeps the balance. But I'm so grateful for this country. And with that, it has not been easy. And seeing this, what's happening, just I was telling Marcus that I was watching a movie on Saturday, and movie was standing at 1 o'clock, 1:30. So it was a great movie, true story. I can tell you later the name. So through that, every evening, my phone goes beep, not big deal. Somebody sent me a commercial. But that evening, around 2 o'clock in the morning, my phone was going beep, 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 beep. I said, okay, well, something's going on. And as I watched my phone, I was seeing through my cousins and my aunt, they were videoing how things were exploding in the middle of the night in Venezuela and Caracas. And I was immediately, going crazy, helicopters, trying to find out. And immediately my common sense say, I think Trump is doing something. Not knowing, but I knew that if anybody has the, what do you call it, the big ones to do something, had to be this guy. So, and it's amazing to hear the next day. I didn't sleep all night. I mean, I was at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning talking to my family, talking to everybody. And of course, like Marcus said, I'm heavily involved. I got very close to 5,000 Venezuelans on my phone because they always ask me questions. They always ask me, if there's an issue with them themselves, if there's something that goes wrong, guess what everybody tells us? Call Mr. Gil. He's the one I'm going to have to save you or guide you or protect you. So one of those reasons. So, with that, it became very hopeful, very amazing. I said, finally, something can happen. And, whether for the right reason, the wrong reason, the good reasons, what Mr. Trump did is something that we all were climbing through my hearts for a long time because we were asking when this will happen. And unfortunately, the previous administration, didn't do nothing other than create a, worse thing for us that opened the borders. And through that was, very, criminal, basically. It came the invaders, came good people, granted, but it also came through the border very bad people, very horrible. They call it here TDA, which is Stranger Agua. And boy, that really sunk us really well as Venezuelans, literally embarrassed us. Just to switch background, when I came to this country, and early on when I was introducing myself that I was from Venezuela, a lot of people didn't know where Venezuela was, and a lot of people thought that Venezuela was super rich. So a lot of people thought that Venezuela was a very friendly country. And through that process, it was very proud to be from Venezuela. But today, to be from Venezuela, oh my gosh, you wanna sink your head in the ground, you know and fighting through that, being conservative and Republican, it was hard to, because at that point now everybody knows where Venezuela is and what they're about. And it's amazing how within 30 years how the history changed 180 degrees, and trying to put a good name and rise above, everybody what they thought about Venezuela. It was very, very tough, very tough to explain why Maduro, why Chavez, what they did. And, it was not easy, um, going through this process that we're going today is hopefully, but it's a roller coaster. We have to admit, it is not easy. There's a lot of things happening. Um, you know, um, we're trying to put in the equation, even though for good or for bad in some way, bring Maria Corina through the table in an easy way, because she's getting the support of 90% of Venezuelans. And that's something that we have to embrace somehow. If I get an opportunity, I will do what I take to tell Bernie, tell J.D. Vance is from Ohio. I campaigned with J.D. Vance. I had lunch with J.D. Vance more than 5 times when through campaigning. And, right now, people from all over Florida, they're calling me because when they put J.D. Vance and Bernie Moreno in Ohio, and me being from Ohio, they think I know them immediately. I say, I'm just a little fly in that equation. But at the same time, I do have the connection because I have Bernie Moreno's phone number. I talk to him, and I leave him alone because he got a full plate, but I do have access to him. I have some kind of access to JD Vance as a little fly. So these people from Florida, they want to do great things because that's what the majority. I mean, Venezuela has perhaps anywhere from 300 to 400,000 Venezuelans, in Miami and Fort Lauderdale and all these different places, and they're desperate. We all desperate of to find a resolution of Venezuela, because the great thing about Venezuela, we have the money to back it up. The only thing, we don't have the leaders. And of course, like Patricia was saying, they got everything. They got the arms, they got the tanks, they got the soldiers. We have nothing, only sticks and stones. And to make a revolution with that on those terms is almost impossible, but it can only be done by the help of the United States. I mean, we have one of the greatest aircraft in um, in the world, right in the Caribbean Sea. We have the means. I understand that Congress and the Senate had to be involved, but only, I don't think that will ever happen if not because of Trump gets involved and say, listen, we're doing this and that's it. And he got it done. Now we got to go through this long process because it has been more than 25 years of socialist um, uh, country, and it's not going to change overnight. I do have issues the way things are happening, what I see. I don't have, inside information, but I got information because I know Venezuela. Like Patricia says, we know what they're like. We know that Delcy Rodriguez and her brother are like. And I just want to give you a little background. I don't know how much time I have, but you remember, so we got Delcy
Luis,
Rodriguez.
just in the interest of time, you got about another minute left, and then we'll dive into more with questions and answers.
Okay, I'm going to give you
Thank you.
this background. Delcy Rodriguez and Jorge Rodriguez, they're brothers. One is currently the president of the country, and the other one is like the Speaker of the House. All the powers are with them. But do you know who Delcy Rodriguez and Jorge Rodriguez's dad? He was a guerrilla guy. Do you guys remember William Niehaus? William Niehaus was the CEO at the time, I believe, of the Owens, Illinois, or Owens Corning. Do we know those companies? They're huge company. He went to visit Venezuela and he got kidnapped by Delcy Rodriguez and Jorge Rodriguez's dad. So
Wow.
that tells you who is in charge of Venezuela. These people are the devil. And you do not sit on the same table with the devil because you're always going to lose. So that's the part that I get a little, I pray because we need to make sure that Marco Rubio, President Trump, J.D. Vance, Bernie Moreno, they know this. You're dealing with the devil. Be careful. We need to have Maria on the table, just watching. We don't need to give her anything, just to have her right next to Trump, watching the whole thing, because she knows where the keys are. She knows the essential. She knows all the people that they are in jail, or the politicians. She knows almost everything. And I just want to give you, when they say on the news that she doesn't know anybody, because everybody that was around her has been killed or jailed. And she was in hiding for 3-4 years. So of course she doesn't have anybody around her, but she knows everything that we need. Plus she has 70% or 80% of the support of Venezuelans. Those are the stuff that I want you guys to know. I want you to know where we go from here. We're on a roller coaster. And unfortunately, a week ago, we were on the top of the news. Right now, we're in the second tier because of what happened in Minnesota, what's happening in Minnesota. This is very unfortunately, but I want to tell you this because I know if I tell you what the ingredients of the cake is, because I got the recipe in my hand. This thing with the Somali community in Minnesota and Columbus being the second settlement. I know we're talking about Venezuela, but I wanted you to know how do we come second tier is because the corruption that happened with that culture is very real and it's worse than what it appears. And
Thank you,
unfortunately,
Luis.
yes, thank you.
That's
Yeah.
great.